Hi, and welcome to another Mould Breaker Empowerment Forum. I am your Mould Breaker Doc, Audrey Mellayne, and I am delighted to be here yet again. And as promised, I have for you today the first of my 12-part series focusing on health, focusing on you. And of course, the goal is to help you to know, understand, and care for self. And the first of the 12 segment is entitled Three Truths About You. Three Truths About You. And of course, because the focus is on you, I think it very important that we take a look at some ideas about your worth. And I'm going to share with you three quotes from three different individuals about the worth of a man. The first comes from Elisa Rogers, and she states that a man's worth is measured by how he parents his children, what he gives them, what he keeps away from them, the lessons he teaches them, and the lesson he allows them to learn on their own. The next comes from Swani. Sorry, I can't if I mispronounce this last name, but it's Muktananda. Swami Muktananda. And this individual says that it is a man's foremost duty to awaken the understanding of the inner self and to know his own real inner greatness. Once he knows his true worth, he can know the worth of others, something worth considering. And finally, the third comes from Richard Paul Evans, and he says that a man's worth isn't measured by a bank register or diploma, but it's about integrity. So, my question to you, how do you measure your worth? How do you measure your worth? If you recall, I did indicate that you are a tripart being comprising mind, body, and spirit. What does that mean? It means that collectively, without your mind, you are incomplete. Without your body, your mind has no reservoir in which to reside. And without the spirit, you have no guide. You are disoriented, you are displaced, you are non-existent. Think about it for a while. Mind, body, spirit. Can you tap into these three parts as an individual? I give you a few seconds to think about it. Where is your mind? Where is your body? Where is your spirit? Do they connect? Do they relate to each other? Are they interdependent upon each other? Most profoundly is the daily struggle that most of us face. and that is determining what matters most. We have self-perception. We also struggle with filtering the views of others about ourselves, about the world around us. And then, of course, there is that inner view called the spirit, or that still small voice that seeks to steer us in one direction or the other. Collectively, these three elements of self, others, and I will call the third entity, which is the spirit, God, they all strive to keep us on path. They all strive to give us a sense of direction. That can be problematic. What I found as I prepared for this segment is that too many of us are lost. Many of us are confused, and then there are a number of us who are simply indifferent about who they are, where they are headed. Thankfully, there are some of us who are aware of what's going on with us as individuals, while there are so many of us that are caught up with what is going on with the world around us and neglect self. So public opinion is the priority. What the other person is doing is very important, but coming to ground zero and discovering what is important to self is of no importance. Again, we are thankful that there are some individuals who are appreciative of their life's journey, of where they are today, because of the influence or the input of others such as teachers, parents, community leaders, pastors. But they are also mindful to be selective in what they accept as a guidepost for their life. We ought to be grateful. We ought to be thankful for the multiple source of information that is coming into us. However, we encounter numerous problems on different levels, and I have clustered together some of these problems on 3 levels. The first level I just call the big problem. And what is the big problem? The big problem is that for many of us, public opinion is more important than anything else. And therefore, we have renounced our personal responsibility for guiding and determining the direction that we take. We leave it to others to make the decision on our behalf. And as a result of that, many of us lose our way. A bigger problem is that many of us are ignorant. We lack awareness of the personal responsibility that we have for self. Do you know that personal responsibility is a God-given right? It is a God-given gift. Yes, we do have that gift of choice that has been given to us by God. So much so that He does not impose on us any sense of right or wrong. But what He does, He lays before us the choices and allow us to make that choice. So what are the basis of our choice? The basis of our choice should be on the good, on the consequence, on the effect that the choice we make have on self and others. Then another big problem, or one of the other bigger problems, is that many of us operate from a place of fear. We are fearful to go and step out. So we don't do anything other than what we see others doing. We rely on others to tell us this is good, that is bad. We do not use our ability to investigate, experiment, explore, and find out what works best for me. No, I'm going to wait and see what Joe does or Sally does before I decide what I will do. You are the co-creator of your own destiny. Therefore, you should not rely on another to determine. Yes, it's always good to have a reference point. It's always good to seek advice, get others' opinion, but in the final analysis, the decision is yours. You have the power. And finally, as I mentioned in the previous problem, we renounce, and that renunciation of our personal power is not always a conscious act. It comes through subtle mechanisms such as persuasion and coercion. And coercion, persuasion comes through power imbalance on the job, in the home, in the school, in the neighborhood, in the church. There are so many strategies that people use to get us to do the things that they would have us do, as opposed to the things that we would like to do. And then when we choose to go contrary, they make us feel as if we're rebellious, we're uncooperative, we're ungrateful, and you listed, and those are the pressures that we get externally. But then there is still yet a bigger problem, which I call the biggest of all problems, and that is resistance. So you've come and you've overcome the coercion and the persuasion of others, and you've come to a truth that you are convinced makes a lot of sense. But what do? You go, well, I don't know about that. I know you've heard it said that change is constant, but things that require change, things that are unfamiliar, things that are new, are often met with resistance because we find it easier to stay where we are, to stay in our comfort zone. We don't want to go against the grain. We don't want to stand alone. We want to be with the status quo. And so whatever others are doing, we feel more comfortable to hide behind the crowd. But it is so much more rewarding when we are able to take information, analyze it, look at the value that it brings to us and determine based on that cost effect of good and profitable and advancement and improvement in our personal existence, then and only then will we discover what we all are seeking. Some people call it joy, some people call it happiness, others call it well-being. To focus on yourself requires just that. To be willing to stand alone, to be willing to change limiting beliefs. You may have believed for a long time that bananas are not good for you because they cause constipation. Is that true for everyone? Is that your personal experience? Or is it something that you heard someone else say was their experience? That is what I'm talking about when I talk about discovery. Discovering your unique self. And that is what one of the 3 critical truths are concerning you. You are unique physically, mentally, socially, and spiritually. Oh, but you do have some things that are common to other individuals. But does that define you? Physiologically, you look at yourself, the language you speak, the words you hear, is common. Your physical structure is common to that of another male, if you are a male, common to that of other females if you are females, if you are a female. But you are still unique. You have your preferences. You have your likes and dislikes. And it is okay for them to be different from your neighbors, your parents, even your friend or your spouse. There is nothing that says that you have to look, smell, and feel like everyone else. Because guess what? In your specialness, 1 or 2 of the things that is so unique about you is that you and no other human being think the same way. You want to put it to the test? Check your church members. There are fundamental beliefs that your congregation or your religion hold. But on the micro level, how those beliefs are manifested and practiced on a daily basis will differ between you and your church member. And what happens as a result of this difference? We begin to judge and condemn. But the question is, who's right? Who's wrong? No one is. It is about interpretation. And it is about mutual respect for each other. But above all, you must be able to stand confidently in that which you believe, because no one is superior to you. You are equal in all ways to your brother, your mother, your pastor, your teacher, physically. Knowledge-wise, they may have more knowledge than you do in certain aspects of life. But sufficient unto the day are the needs that you have, and you will grow based on your needs if you engage yourself actively to a journey of self-discovery. Mind, body, spirit. Each of us are equipped with these three parts. So, what then is the issue? What is it that causes us to feel guilty about being ourselves? I mentioned some of them: pressure, coercion. But above all, there is this thing called busyness. We are too busy to take the time to be ourselves. We are too busy to take the time to be ourselves. We must realize that all that we need resides within. The still small voice is our teacher. Yes, there are frames of references, there are social norms, there are governing policies that govern society, and we must coexist with our fellow beings. But at the end of the day, when the rubber meets the road, it is only us that are left standing, and it is only our thoughts, our beliefs, our habits, and what we accept as truths that we have to draw from. And so therefore, as I wrap up this segment, I invite you to take a look at yourself. Stand in the mirror, sit silently in a room, close your eyes if you must, and just think, who am I? What am I about? Where am I headed? What is my worth? What do I desire? Do you really know? Because the answers to these questions will help you in your self-discovery, in your quest for joy, for happiness, for well-being, and for being the best version of you. There are many things that we hold on to as truths that do not serve us. They are very limiting. They prevent us from soaring to new heights, from being the best mother, sister, daughter, father, son, uncle, aunt, cousin, human being that we can possibly be. I encourage you to reflect on all that I have shared with you this morning. You are the co-creator of your destiny. Take the power from another. Take the power from external sources. Place the power where it belongs. It has been placed in you by your Creator. Do you really want a better life? Do you really want to be the best that you can be? Begin by taking the power back. Break those molds of external influences that tells you you must be like Jim, you must be like Jenny. You are unique. You are special. You are supported by God. And you have the control. Next week, in segment number 2, we will begin to look at, am I truly unique? Then what is my purpose? What is my unique purpose? And how do I unfold and discover and live within my purpose? I will give you a hint from the scriptures. It says that God's desire above all is that you prosper and be in good health. So then, what is your purpose? Tune in next week, same time, same place, and discover more about the unique and special and powerful you. Take care until then. I am Audrey Mellayne, your Mould Breaker Doc, here to help you be the best version of yourself. Until next time, take care, stay safe, stay happy.